It's Mr. Land. It's 27.3 degrees, and just because we've had a rash of snow days, and I think we're likely to not have school on Monday, I thought I'd do this because it actually doesn't snow that often. Anyway, so I was looking at the Build Your Own Server class, and or the online series, and I see that I haven't updated anything since end of October. I've started talking to lots of people about building their own servers because our semester's almost over, and some of you will need to not be in the class and are starting to think about, well, I got all these files, how do I move them to another server? So anyway, I'm at home. I started that series of videos on a Windows computer. I'm gonna do some work here on a Mac, but I think what you're going to see is after I have the virtual machine, I can move it back and forth between a Mac system or a Linux system or a Windows system. It sort of won't matter. Okay, so here, in the other videos, I downloaded the CentOS ISO, and in another one I installed ScreenFlow. That's the video software I'm using here. VirtualBox. Man, I'm sorry, it's really cold. So you can see that on my personal machine I also run another virtual machine called Mint, Linux Mint, or is it Mint Linux? I don't know. Google it. It's pretty good. If you don't have a lot of experience, I think a lot of people have heard of Ubuntu, and it's great. Mint is also great. Either one of those are going to be similar, maybe not in your overall user experience, but when you get to using terminal, which we will more here, you'll be using like apt-get, and that'll be very similar to your experience on a Raspberry Pi, which, by the way, I'm going to do another series on Raspberry Pi because that's pretty awesome, and I think a lot of you managed to get a hold of a Raspberry Pi over the holidays. Okay, in this video, because it's so stinking cold and I'm starting to get uncomfortable, I'm going to just create the space here. So let's just click new. We're going to create this virtual machine. You can name it what you want. I'm naming it this because this is for me to see, this is the virtual machine I'm going to run. The default here would probably be fine. This is my machines. I have 8 gigabytes. I think I'll kick this up to 2 just for giggles. You don't have to. Now some of you may have more. You might have great new machines. Then you can do more. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't go much more than that. In fact, I wouldn't go more than that, because you can adjust all of this later, and this is a fine place to start. And even at 2, it might be too much, or not too much, but more than you need. Okay, so the next screen here, we need to create a virtual hard disk. That's going to take whatever the size of your hard disk is now, like I'm on my MacBook here, and just sort of carve out whatever size we suggest. I strongly suggest, this is your first time, and let's think of this, what you're doing now, as disposable, sort of like Hello World when we did that in class. Like, yeah, okay, you're going to mess it up maybe. Not because I don't have faith in you, but I mean, you have the freedom to just bang on it, mess it up, so what? You're not going to hurt anything. Let's create a virtual hard disk, and let's use their default here. And I suggest you use dynamic. And so here's like a little slider. I think 8 is going to be enough, but I'm going to move it to 10, and here's why. By the way, you may have a larger hard disk, so you might be thinking, well, I have a 3 terabyte hard drive. I'm going to go for 500 gigabytes. Well, you could. But I strongly suggest at this point, think of this one, because I think it's your first, as sort of disposable. Don't waste resources on it. You're gonna learn on it, and you know how it is, like with coding, most of what you learn is from doing it wrong, and then you learn not to do it wrong anymore, often more than you learn to do it right, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's click create. And as you see here, this is pretty much set up. This is the system information for a fake machine or a virtual machine, and VirtualBox is going to fake it so well that CentOS doesn't, I mean, none of this knows, but it's not going to know that it's not running on a real machine. So as far as CentOS is concerned, it's a real computer, just like the server that is probably serving you this file right now. Alright, so we need to take another step here. Let's start this virtual machine. Now right now it has no operating system, it's just empty like potential. So we're gonna browse, which will look slightly different on a different machine. I happen to know it's in my CentOS, my downloads folder, and there you can see the ISO file. So I'm gonna open that, and here I can just verify, yes, that's what I want. This is like the installation disk. Lots of you have like a Windows CD or DVD or something like that. This is sort of the equivalent. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here because I'm freezing, and I want to show you a couple of things here I can do that are sort of nice. I can take this off onto a screen on its own. I'm going to pause here, and I'll start another video. That whole video is just about the installation process, but it's too cold, and if there was anything to be gained, fun or interest or likes on Facebook, then that has or has not been achieved, and I'm done. So see you in the next video, and yeah, this is going to be really cool. I hope you're having fun.